Failure. You are a failure. You are a failure in everything you do. Sorry, I didn't mean it like that.
That's how we feel sometimes.
This is sometimes the conversations I have in my head, which is not even a conversation. It's just a human being screaming at me.
No.
What's wrong with you? Why
Don't
you
do
never
that.
succeed? And you know what? I'm assuming this is something that a lot of people go
Yeah, I
through.
actually also do that.
So today, and that's something I've experienced the last few weeks. So I said, okay. I told Kayla, who is here hosting with me instead of Michael, who is a failure. And and I remember thinking a lot about failure, having this conversation, like what's wrong with me? Like I'm tired of not succeeding in a proper trajectory. I'm not saying trajectory in my work or my skills. Like there's always little
Steady
things.
incline.
Yeah, steady incline. It's always this kind of weird curve. Roller coaster. It's not even a curve. I'm doing this. This is optimistic. It's more like. So I said, okay, perfect. Let's make some lemonades with this lemon called failure. So let's make a podcast and make it your problem. So how do we define failure? So my perspective on the definition of failure is it's a survival concept. When I want A to happen, but something else happens, in my mind, in my little lizard brain, I'm experiencing something akin to like falling into a trap or being attacked by some lion or hyenas back in like the primal days. So it's like I am experiencing something that is dangerous. And sometimes it's more subtle. Sometimes it's more subtle in the way of like, oh, I didn't succeed really well on teaching a yoga class, for example. So from now on, I'm never going to give a good classes. I'm always going to have like no people in my class. I'm going to be fired and I'll never have money. And then I'll live in a cardboard box and then
Quick spiral.
That's kind of how it rolls. So I would define failure as that kind of like the survival experience that we're having when things don't go our way.
Yeah. And for me, I think I see failure as is really connected to expectations. So it's less of a factual scientific evidence of failure success and more like what did you have expectations to achieve and did you reach that expectation or not?
Right.
And I think that's how failure shows up for me a lot is not reaching the expectations that I set for myself,
which tend to be very high.
Yes.
Right. I feel like this is something that's very common, and especially with people on a spiritual path, which is very varied. And I want to talk about the connection of failure to spirituality, how spirituality sees failure. But first, kind of let's talk about different experiences of failure. So I described a very, very drastic way of experiencing failure. Yeah. It's a self-worth like hit.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest impact that failure has on us is because we attach our failures to our self-worth.
Right. And I remember personally, this is a personal experience that I had when I was a kid in school, and that was around middle school and high school, which was horrible. All the way to elementary, as soon as homework became a thing, plummeted. And I always came with a lot of good intentions to be good at school.
Yeah.
I had my backpack. I had my big backpack with all the proper material, and it's like, okay, it's a new year, it's a new start. I'm gonna make some friends. By the end of the year, no friends, loner in a corner with one textbook and a pencil.
No paper,
just like one little thing. And so I was not really highly intellectual. I wasn't
weren't
very
like an
social. Yeah, I wasn't social.
You couldn't rely on Pokemon anymore to get you friends.
People grew out of it too fast.
I agree.
People grew out. Like I was still into Pokemon.
Yeah.
Well into my 16.
Well, still to this day.
Yeah, I'm still into it. And they were like into girls for some reason. I'm like, what's wrong with you? At least the ones I knew about. but for me, school was always a very difficult experience. But there was one thing that I felt very proud of. And I think this is something we're kind of going to touch upon, the connection between pride and shame. But I was very proud about my skills as a martial artist. Kung Fu, I've put a lot of effort into it. I was good at it. I learned really fast. I got responsibilities to teach. I was teaching kids since I was a kid. Since I was 15, I was a teacher.
You gained respect.
Respect. I was teaching people all their trust, respect. All these things made me give me a lot of self-worth.
Yeah.
Now, if something happened while I was in the gym and someone beat me at the randori, which is like a fight or a sparring session, or if someone knew something I didn't know, or I said something that was embarrassing, in my opinion, to my teacher, and I kind of looked bad, or he didn't know my name, like something like that. Like if he just didn't remember my name because I was a 15-year-old kid, like that. And so I would be devastated. I would be completely devastated because everything that I was associating with me was completely shattered.
Yeah, then, it became attached to your identity.
And it got worse.
Right.
Like it got worse.
It's not
spiraled.
just a single moment. It's not like, oh, that didn't go the way I expected. It's like, oh, I'm not who I thought I was.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like you feel like the mask you're unmasked.
Yeah.
You are nude, and you are now facing the ridicule of your own thoughts, like the tomatoes and
the dunce cap.
The dunce cap. So I was like, I'm an ugly kid. Nobody likes me. I'm stupid. Everybody has social skills except me. And even the one thing I'm supposed to be good at was supposed to be like,
right.
I'm not even good at that.
Which you are.
You know what? I know to treat it a little differently. But that is a very dramatic experience of failure. But there are varieties, right? Failure
sometimes daily failures.
Yeah, like being late. Like that's
a big one for me.
Right.
Yeah. Although a lot of times I don't see it as a failure. I'm just like, it is what it is. But sometimes when it's an important event or an audition, it can feel very much to the point that you touched on a little bit at the start, which is, why does this keep happening to me? Like, why can't I learn this lesson? It feels like a perpetual, it feels once again like it's part of my personality. Like I'm just programmed to fail at time.
Right. And that's the case, isn't it? Isn't that the case? We are programmed to fail. Like that's in our biological design, whether you see it as a design or just an inborn, either way, it's undeniable that we are meant to fail and we are meant to learn from it because we're kind of a weird creature.
How do you mean?
Well, for example, Chia, my cat, when she makes a mistake, when she jumps on the railing and she's like almost falls or she slips, she just opens her eyes and then moves on with her life. But me, when I fail, I remember it. I sing it in my head. I talk to people about it on YouTube, even though it's been like 20 years since I experienced that. So it's still in my head. So the ability to cognitively remember and to store it, especially negative experiences such as failure, tend to be stored in long-term memory in our head. That's
a survival skill you're talking about.
That's a survival skill. That is a pre-programmed system in our head.
Right.
Because it's there to help us recognize danger and remember to avoid it. But in a modern life, sometimes it goes against us, because it's
right.
What's the word I'm looking for? Because sometimes it stops us from progressing.
Yeah.
because we treat a failure.
We'll get trapped in it.
Right. However, here's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Success doesn't exist without failure. You cannot succeed without failing. It's impossible.
That reminds me of a quote from the Tao Te Ching.
And we just sat there. Nobody planned this. It's just right on the page.
Which says, success is as dangerous as failure. What does it mean that success is as dangerous as failure? Whether you go up the ladder or down it, your position is shaky. When you stand with your 2 feet on the ground, you will always keep your balance.
Okay, what do you make of that one?
What do I make of that?
Yeah.
So, well, in the Tao, the concept of being still is top priority.
Right.
So, success in this case is speaking about that reaching, that grasping energy to seek more than what you already are.
Right.
And failure is the regression or the loss of whatever you were reaching for. So in this case, it's kind of just saying being as you are and letting the ups and downs of your life not be associated with who you are as a person or your own self-worth.
I think I understand. I think I'm following because it's not really sending, because my first thought, this is kind of an apathetic message, where it's, a lot of the Taoists sometimes sounds very apathetic to everything. It sounds very cynical and apathetic.
Oh, you think it sounds cynical?
Yeah, it's like sometimes like, oh, it doesn't matter, just be.
Oh no.
It doesn't affect you.
I love how we disagree with our thoughts on the universe.
Right. So it sounds almost apathetic, but it's not. It's about treating failure and success as experiences and ripples in this ocean of life. And either way, you react to those ripples the same.
Yeah.
You, not the same as like you shouldn't change, as you're supposed to change and adapt to them to the point like you're almost unchanging. Like a ball, let's think of it as like a air ball or a volleyball or a beach ball. Beach ball, that's not what I'm looking for. A beach ball in the ocean. We'll just keep coming back to the top, whether it goes up and down or up and down. It's that state of continuous balance and connection to the natural flow of the universe that you're always, no matter what experience you're getting, you're always back in the center. Like a surfer on a wave, right? I always like the surfer on the wave analogy because it's pretty perfect.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think it's also saying not to really label experiences as success or failures, because the labeling of it or how you view something that you experience really changes how it impacts you emotionally. So, not to say that success and failure don't exist.
Right.
They do. But it's, do you see it as a lesson, failure?
Right.
Do you see it as something that's guiding you to the right path? Do you see it as a motivation? Like gives you that sense of like, let's try again. I'm so excited to experiment. Like having a mad scientist perspective on failure.
Well, you can see it in video games.
And the same thing. Oh, go ahead.
Yes, so video games is kind of an interesting analogy here, because if a video game is too easy,
if you're constantly succeeding.
Yeah, you're constantly succeeding, and honestly, it kind of becomes really boring.
Right.
But if it's so difficult, and I had that experience with a game I played from like the 90s, and it was just meant to be insanely difficult and ridiculous. And at some point, I noticed myself not even trying to play. I just tried to like trick the computer. And I'm like asking myself, am I even having fun here? So when you're in this constant failure, you lose interest. But if you have no failure, you're not really progressing anyway. You're just kind of indulging in your own self
Right.
a little bit.
Well, and I guess, how do you get out of those patterns? So if you feel like, because we were talking about failure as a perspective, how it's not something set in stone, how it depends on how you see it, and it depends on how you label it. But at the same time, failures exist.
Right.
If you were meant to carry a pot of chili in through the office and you drop it all over the floor, that's a failure.
Right.
But if you keep dropping the chili all over the floor,
Right.
you're stuck in a pattern of failure. And there has to be something that shakes a system to get you out of it, right?
Right. If we take that angle of the Taoist, it's kind of like an interesting thought that came out in my head. Like, because as human beings, we try to improve. That is ingrained in us, right? We have progression is very important for us, and it's very integral to our human life, not just as a species, but also in everyday's life. Like, we have to improve. We got to go from point A and improve to get to point B. And we always have that need to development. And if we don't, if we stay exactly the same all the time, like, we get stagnant. We get depressed, we get sick, and maybe some people are okay with that. But from my experience, people who tend to get stagnant either it becomes like water when it's standing, like still water. It becomes sickly. It becomes, even if you're okay and you don't care about it, you still are affected by it. As human beings, we are designed to. We don't do well with being rigid. We do well when we're elastic and progressive, and we are developing.
Yeah,
like, we tend to do well when
different for each person. It doesn't have to mean. I think that's also an issue with failure and success is how we define those things. Do you define, is it, I want to get better at painting, but if no one buys my paintings, then I'm going to quit? Because that's not the pinnacle of success, isn't just being able to make a career out of something, or even other people appreciating what you do at all. That's another thing where it comes down to.
Because that's a great point. I love that point, because it it shakes my head a little bit. Like, I feel like my head is on vibrate. It goes, ooh, just new notification came into my head. And our own self interpretation of what failure is. So, for example, let's say you are a 50-year-old man, and you live with the same wife for 40 years. You have 3 kids. You live, and you go to the same job.
They got married when they were 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, I said 30-year-old kids?
You said, imagine you're a 50-year-old man, you've been married for 40 years.
Okay, so he's not married, but with his childhood sweetheart. And then, 30 years. They were married for 30 years. Okay. That's normal. and you have the same job, you go to the same place, you live in some rural area, and you have, like you said, 3 kids and grandkids, and you consider that a success. You don't think of that as a failure. But put another person in that same situation, is like, oh my God, same woman, I should be with someone else. Like, why am I doing the same work? I should be promoted. Like, why am I in this? I'm living in the same spot.
That
why
I grew
is
up
the same town? I'm stuck. Blah, blah, blah. Everything seems the same. Yeah. So that person, if I have to put myself in the person who lived, let's say, the happy life.
The contentment.
It's contentment, but it's also success, because he feels that what he's doing keep improving in his space. Like, he still talks to his kids, still keeps the romantic and connection with his partner, and even he still goes to work. The
preservation is a success.
Yeah, the preservation itself. For long-term generation, he achieved to become a grandpa, and like that could be an example of taking that same experience as a success. Or if you have the midlife crisis and you kind of go another way, maybe then you are considered a success. Like, are you successful because you found a younger wife, or you had a better paying job, or you become more obsessed about yourself? And that can be translated as success, and that can be translated as a failure because maybe you are alone. Like, there's no objective matter regarding success or failure, right? So that brings me to this next thought of connecting it to, for example, yoga philosophy. Because the perspective on failure, because it's so subjective, and as human beings, from the perspective of yoga, since we have our own ego, and we identify as this matter, as this human being, and this human being needs to be preserved. So any failure or feeling of death or falling into a trap or some primal experience of I'm not getting my way is translated as like a danger to the self that I identify as. And yoga says that self will never be satisfied, no matter what.
Right.
Like if you have the loving wife for 30 years, then you'll be unhappy because you want a younger wife. And then we'll get a younger wife, you'll be unhappy because she's not as smart as you, or you can't connect with her. Or you'll be unhappy because you don't like your job, or you'll get a promotion and you'll like that until you won't like another one. Like you get more responsibility, you have less time. So there's always something. There's a hole in the bucket. I heard that in an old Israeli TV show. There's a hole in the bucket. So no matter what you put inside of it, it'll keep draining. That's kind of the tragic cycle sometimes. That's why in yoga they call it like the samsara. It's kind of like almost like a tragic cycle where we keep feeding into a, let's call it
bottomless pit,
an unquenchable thirst, insatiable hunger.
Yeah.
Like no matter what, it will just won't end. Yogis say the way to do it is stop identifying as yourself. Kind of almost similar to what the Taoists say.
Yeah.
Like stop taking it personally, in other words.
See yourself outside of the experiences. That the experiences aren't you. You are within the experience.
Right, because if a worm gets caught by a bird, did the worm fail?
I love how you say worm.
What did I say? I say worm.
You always say worm.
Worm?
The worm.
So if a worm, I don't understand what you're saying. So worm gets caught by a bird, did the worm fail at being a worm? Did it? No.
No, you could say it. Some people would say it succeeded.
It served the purpose for the bird.
Right.
But I'm assuming the worm didn't want to be eaten.
Right.
So we don't understand what is our purpose in this world as human beings. We don't know that part. And I think this is kind of a big part of why we struggle with failure. Because I don't think we truly understand life. But we inherently want to succeed and develop and learn and grow.
Right. But it's how? It's how do we succeed and develop and grow, and what does that mean? And is it reaching for something outside of yourself, or is it building? Some people say would building up your inner self, and some people would say it's stripping down your inner self.
Right.
Because
it depends on the culture.
Yeah, it depends on how you look at it. And I think also the idea of failure being outside of yourself is really where the practical advice comes to play here. Because we live in, as you say, a world that is, the momentum is success. The momentum is progression.
Right.
And there's a lot of things that are fun to try and achieve in this life.
Right.
And I think it's beautiful. I think that's also part of one's dharma, or like life purpose, is to find what feels like your soul is singing and how to put in the work to
Right.
achieve that. Because I think when we talk about, failure and success not really existing or that they shouldn't matter, can bring up ideas of like stagnation or like, oh, I'm not supposed to reach to achieve anything.
Right. Which is also kind of a cultural thing for us here in the United States, and I think also in the Western world, because I think we're also not just hardwired biologically, but I think because we're ambitious
Culturally.
species by nature, but culturally specifically, we are encouraged to want to get more and more and more and more and more. Now, I'm curious because other cultures might see it differently. Like, I'm assuming, for example, like in cultures where the collective is very, very important, right? Like sometimes you are being now taught by the higher ups, by the culture of your culture, that if you are, I don't know, like just what's the word? I'm just looking for like not good phrasing in my head. Just like you're sweeping the streets.
Okay.
All right. And they say this is just as important as being the leader of our country, because we are all one. You are part of this great machine that's working all together. Now, if you ask the leader to switch roles, I'm sure he won't do it. He'll be like, I don't want to sweep the street. So obviously the ambition and that is still there, but culturally you are taught to be happy with what you got, no matter what. And I guess failure experiences changes through cultures. That's what I'm saying. Like, let's say you live in like a village somewhere, which is more rural and let's say more primal. Like there's no computers or anything. You're just like, go get food, go back to the tribe, do this, go back to the tribe, do that. Like you have a routine. Do you think they experience, what is their experience of failure in your mind? Like, I don't know much about these things.
Well, I think it just wouldn't be as career driven or like money driven, but there would still be failures. Like if you went out. I failed
my shaman.
If you went out and you were supposed to bring back a kill to feed your village and you didn't, that would be a big failure.
That would be really hard.
That
like
would
your
be
whole
really
status
harsh,
will be affected.
Or if you're, heading the agriculture of the people and the crops fail.
Then
that would be that would be a big failure.
Right. All right, so that's failure across all cultures. Let's look at all the cultures' failure. So it is universal. The experience of failure is universal, and it's not always associated with progression. But it's definitely associated with expectations.
Yes.
And self-identity and self-worth and our role in humanity. Okay, so that helps me kind of square to circle my square head. It's kind of just it. And so let's jump forward. Okay, so what do we do with this? Like, so we talk about the spiritual perspective. We talk about the ego and its relationship to failure. We talked about Taoism and how it sees failure. And so what do we do with this? Like, what do we do with this information? Like, my first thought is that understanding that success has to always live with failure. And I think I said that. I forgot because we made a lot of cuts. I forgot which one I said. We failed a lot at it.
We failed at keeping a streamline.
All right. But you cannot succeed without failing, in other words. Meaning that the best people or not the best people, but the people who are best at things are best because they failed the most.
Right. They put in the work.
Yeah, I heard it from that guy, the Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I forgot his name. I apologize to anyone who cares. But he said Tiger Woods failed at golf more than me. And but because I just didn't play as much as Tiger Woods. And so he's the best at it because he played and practiced and tried and kept coming back and back again. And you see that at every successful person, that they are successful because they are failing the most, but not just failing the most, but also learning from the failure in an intellectual way, in a skillful way, and also luck, in a lucky way. Because success is also taking luck and utilizing it. Because we have unlucky experiences and lucky experiences, and
cash in on the luck.
Yeah, we can cash in on the luck, or we fail to cash in on the luck. So seeing failure as more as a human experience,
as the opportunity.
Yes, and we need to learn how to take that failure and be able to process it through us.
Processing the failure, I think, is beautiful, and I think that's how you can read the failure as a roadmap to where to go next.
Right. That was beautifully put.
You can read failure as a roadmap of where to pivot. So, for example, I had an audition for a lot of theaters. And I got 2 callbacks. Ooh, that's nice. Yay. But I wanted way more.
Yes.
And I was proud of myself because I saw the experience not as a reflection of that I must not be as good as I thought I was because I didn't get as many callbacks, but more so, okay, I must need to adjust my audition material, because it's not showing the best version of me, or it's not showing what the casting directors are looking for. So instead of seeing it as a reflection of myself, of my abilities, or as like an omen of my future,
right.
of using the failure as a roadmap, seeing myself outside of the experience, and taking notes of how to move forward to my next experience with what I learned.
Right. My experience with failure, and this is really how I like to see it. I think of it as an experience. Because failure is an experience. And I remember I gave what I thought was like a terrible class. And I felt terrible at it too. And one of my students told me, don't dare go home and feel like you are a bad teacher or anything. She said, don't. That was a good class. I really enjoyed it. I love you as a teacher. And I really appreciated that. But however, my first thought was, and I told her that, is something? The more I try to fight the feeling of I shouldn't express or experience failure, the stronger it comes back to me. It will come back again. Even if I kind of squash it now and feel better with myself because someone said that I'm a great teacher, it will come back again the next experience. It's still waiting to be processed. It's just standing in line waiting. I'm okay, no worries. You think I'm not a problem now? You keep on with your life. I'll come back later. Don't worry. That's what these emotions do. Because the experience of failure is also an experience of an emotion, and emotions have to be expressed.
Yeah.
Right, they have to. They live in our body, and until they get expressed, they're going to stay there. So I told her, something? I'm definitely going to have that experience of feeling like I'm a bad teacher. And I don't want to fight it. Actually, I'm going to invite it. But I won't identify with it. I would say... And also that feeling, what Kayla just did, and now I felt like I did something really well. That's also an experience of success. So I'm going to try to deal with it the same way. Instead of identifying with the success or the failure, it's seeing it as more as an experience to be invited. So it's not I am a failure, it's I am experiencing failure. It's not I am angry, it's I am experiencing anger. And I told her I'm going to experience failure. And I'm going to allow it to come through. And as it comes through, I'm also going to allow the experience of motivation, study opportunities, learning opportunities, grace. Yes, I actually said exactly that. I said grace, and I was actually happy that I said it because it's beautiful. to also allow myself to take it with grace, to take the experience of failure and say, like, you know something, you put a lot of effort into this and it's worthwhile, and take this as an experience and move on. So I'm going to take the failure with everything else. It's an emotional salad. And you can't get...
What vegetable is the failure?
Yeah, you
can. Is the failure the like vinegar in the vinaigrette?
I think it's like a bad tomato.
Oh.
Maybe like a very sour tomato. It has to be
something that adds to the salad.
It's tomato. Tomato adds.
Tomato is a failure. Well, because people throw tomatoes.
Maybe. I don't know. I love tomato. Tomatoes are great. They're great against lasamiot, as my dad likes to say. Now...
Don't explain it. You have to ask his dad.
So now... It's allowing all these experiences. It's not to avoid failure, because when you avoid failure, or identify with it, you're not allowing all the different experience to come through too. Okay, because it's a mixture of energies. And really allowing it to be processed through your body and through your mind in a holistic way. And this is where spirituality really shines.
Yeah.
Because it really teaches us through multiple ways. Which honestly is kind of the frustrating part also.
I know, we're always like, I hate being on the spiritual path. That's exhausting.
It is.
I keep having to learn lessons. It's
never
ending.
I wish I didn't notice these lessons. And I'm saying it jokingly. But I wish I was...
Whistling through life.
Because we talked about it. We talked about that. Like, sometimes I wish I was like a person who never got really into yoga and Tai Chi and Qigong. And martial arts, I mean, these things, and kind of just had a specific path already pre-planned for me, and just go with it. Don't doubt anything. Don't try to improve as a person. Be completely oblivious and somewhat psychotic. And I would be happy. I would be happy because I wouldn't see any flaw with me. And I will move on. But because I chose a spiritual path, everything is a lesson. So even if someone cuts me off and my first reaction was like, you idiots, who taught you how to drive? If I was in that alternate scenario, that's what I would say. And that would be the right way to react. But because I chose a spiritual path, me getting angry is like, you shouldn't be angry. Because now it's affecting you and your day. Right. And
you don't know what's up with that person.
Yeah, you don't know. You're holding this energy in. Like, it's like, this is another lesson.
Right.
And at some point, I'm like, I don't want to learn lessons anymore. And that's the thing. That's my experience. It's sometimes I love the lessons. Sometimes I hate the lessons. And sometimes I love how much I hate them. And I hate how much I love them.
That reminds me of is that story you tell about the man who hated, Krishna so much that he became enlightened?
Yeah. How does that remind you of that? Like,
I guess because, like, your relationship...
I'll start the context first. Sorry.
Okay.
I'll start the context so everybody's listening. So first of all, the story, not a long story, but Krishna had this... It's like an opposition. There was the Kauravas and the Pandavas, and Krishna helped the Pandavas. It was like a big, major civil war. So he was on the evil side. And Krishna was on the good side. So he hated Krishna so much, and he blamed him because of the war. And he said, like, you started this. You kind of made everybody war with each other. It's actually really cool because it's from the Mahabharata, which explains the human behavior very unapologetically. It's not Krishna is so great, he's so amazing, everybody loves him, blah, blah, but it's more like, here's why you're messing with everyone, Krishna. Stop messing with everyone. You caused this war. So he hates him so much. And Krishna on the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita is actually an incarnation of Vishnu, or another way of saying is God. He's God in human form. So the guy hated him so much that he couldn't think of anything else except Krishna.
Just steaming,
just Krishna. But that's the thing. He had, in a way, God always on his mind. Yeah. Because he had God always on his mind, so he became enlightened because he constantly thought about Krishna.
Right. One day didn't Krishna appear to him and is like, thank you, my devoted.
Which is the last little to you. You see, you learned something. Even when you hated me, you learned something.
You ascended this plane because you've always been on my mind. Why what you said reminded me of that story is because when you have which I believe is the lesson of that story. When you have a relationship with God or with your highest spiritual self, there's going to be all of the whole spectrum of emotions involved in it. So it's like we're on the spiritual path, love the spiritual path, hate the spiritual path, annoyed with the spiritual path, delighted by the spiritual path. And it's building a relationship with it. And I think thinking about failure in the same way is building a relationship with failure. Finding, it's like, don't avoid disappointment. You're going to be disappointed when you fail. That's fine.
Yeah, good luck avoiding disappointment.
You're going to be disappointed when you fail. When you've not reached the expectations you set for yourself, when you were really excited about something and it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to, it's going to hurt. And build a relationship with yourself so that you can feel that feeling and then find the humor in it, find the joy in it, get angry. It becomes a complete, complex, holistic relationship with failure and success. Because if success is always the only time there's a positive emotion, you're always going to be searching for it, always going to be reaching for it. And there's always going to be, like you said, there's a hole in the bucket.
Right.
And if you always feel that failure is negative, life's going to be really hard.
It's going to keep coming back.
Because as we've said, failure is inevitable. It's just the different degrees of which it happens across your life.
Right. And I always like to think of it as I like to think of life, and we are born into this life. It's like a potential of energy. Like you are born.
I was beamed down, actually.
You were wished, by the way, by a genie. I want to remind you. And maybe you've been, I don't remember. I think it was just like a cloud of purple smoke and you showed up. And it was like a bad smoke, like kind of like a
bad smoke?
No, bad smoke effect. Like in the old 60s. Okay. It was like a very hard cut and you showed up.
Right.
And I completely forgot what I was saying.
Failure.
But failure. Oh, okay, now I remember. So when you live life through this potential of energy, moving from the moment you are born, and you're getting all these experiences, and you're going to have these experiences whether you like them or not, and you get to choose how you live through them. You can either fight them every step of the way, or you can learn how to ride the life's waves. But either way, you're getting to the end of that river. At some
you
point.
Are strapped onto that surfboard.
Yeah, you're getting there. So you can either let the experiences take you, or you can ride the experience, or let the experience ride you, or you ride the experience. So the same thing with failures and success, which I guess we didn't talk too much about success. We really should dedicate a little more time. Not today, but we'll talk about success. Yeah, that's another chapter. Great. I succeeded. I have another chapter. Which is very poetic to end that on the chapter on failure. But I want to end with this. With this thought, and then a little story by Swami Shivananda, which is, I believe, the GOAT. And because sometimes the stakes are high. Everything we talked about, we talked a little bit about
parenting a child or...
parenting a child. But sometimes the stakes are really high. Sometimes it's really a life or death situation where you have to make
like
a decision.
Or something.
You're a firefighter, you're a policeman. Or sometimes literally people rely on your life. Like you made choices throughout your life that make you homeless, or you can't feed your child. And like sometimes the stakes go really high. And failure is experienced not as a ripple in the sea, but as a tsunami. And now you have to experience that and say like, oh, just don't worry about it, don't sweat it. Like it doesn't work that way, right? It's just much more powerful. And do you have any thoughts of that before I share my thoughts?
Oh, well, it just keeps coming back to what we've said before. Like failure definitely exists. There are repercussions for how you live your life. Which I think is something that can often be misinterpreted by people who are outside or who don't feel aligned with a spiritual path, is this idea of absolvement or self-centeredness, like whatever It's like, as long as I'm okay inside, then that doesn't matter at all. But that's not true. The things that you do affect other people, and that should matter to you.
Right, because we ripple throughout this ocean, like drops in a big ocean. Like these things ripple, even if it's small.
Right. Right.
And
well, and I think because, okay, say it's a situation where you made a life or death decision and someone died.
right.
Okay. There's still the opportunity to either collapse in on yourself,
Right.
Not live your life anymore, harbor this guilt forever, or take responsibility.
Right.
And move forward the best to your ability with this new insight of what it means to live a life where you've experienced this,
Right.
and take that onto yourself and move forward with it. Not that I have any place to speak on that. I've, thank God, never been in that situation. But that, I think, is where the difference is between being apathetic or to failures and successes and taking them as they come, and using them as a way to guide your next steps.
Okay. Yeah, and I would say also, we'll add to that by saying, I feel like it's important as human beings for us to learn how to deal with failure early on. Because if we use that same analogy with the surfer, and being able to learn to ride the small waves will help you learn how to ride the big waves. So from the beginning, learn how to handle these small experiences of failures as well as success, because they're both sides of the same coin, and like pride and shame. So when you learn how to deal with not sweating the small stuff, it will help you develop the skills that when a tsunami hits you, like, you will get hurt, but you'll be able to get back up. You'll be able to somewhat ride that wave, even if it won't kill you.
Right.
Like, you'll be able to
It's like Big Fish.
Yes, like Big Fish. We
In the
just saw
movie
that
Big
movie.
Fish,
It's beautiful.
he knows
Recommend
how
for
he's going to die. And so when he goes through a difficult situation, he's like, oh, wait, I know that I'm going to be fine. Like,
right.
like, I know that I can move through this and survive.
Right.
Or it's if you hit the water and fall off your board and you get back up and can hop on another wave, you know that you can do it again. Whereas if you never go out onto the water, it looks really scary.
I guess that's why spiritual practice is very important to keep and maintain and to take care of, because it really does help us deal with everything. If I bring myself back to that alternate reality where I've never did martial arts, never did Tai Chi, never did Qigong, never did yoga, never did all those things, I'm pretty sure I would be a weird alcoholic. I'm pretty sure, because I wouldn't know how I would handle things. I really have no idea, because when I go through a very difficult experience, like very, very difficult experience, I know how to process through it. I know how to breathe through it. I know how to do my mantras. I know how to use faith and work and practice.
It's still hard.
I know how to do somatic releases. I know,
Right.
and it's difficult, but that's the point. It's difficult, but it's not immobilizing. It's not like immobilizes, but because of the spiritual practice, because I kept showing up to try and to overcome these small things and be able to handle them as they process through me. So when something big goes through me, I can handle it. And I'll finish with this, with the story of Swami Shivananda. Swami Shivananda is my inspiration for a lot of these teachings. Swami Shivananda was basically an enlightened being who dedicated his entire life to just helping people. Everything he wanted is just to help and save the world through yoga, through healing. He was a doctor who ran multiple hospitals in India. And when he realized the hospital people are getting sick, but it's not the core issue, he started tapping into spirituality and helping people finding a path of peace and helping teachers all over the world, sending all over the world to help people chill out, basically. Which I see why I felt that way, because I walk around and I feel like, I'm like, you guys need to do some breathing. and that was Swami Shivananda. He dedicated everything about his life to helping others. That's why they call him Swami Give Ananda. That, and also he gave everybody candy all the time.
Right.
And he took care of this person who was deeply sick with like cancer or
A terminal
illness of some sort. Something very, very dreadful. And Swami Shivananda helped him through it, practiced with him, and took care of him for years and years and years on end. And even helped heal him. So he overcome the terminal illness. And after maybe a few months or something, Swami Shivananda got a letter that guy died by like an accident or something, or he got killed. And Swami Shivananda looked at that letter and went, "Oh, life. Oh, you karma. You got me." But the idea, he kind of saw it in a cheerful way, but not because he didn't care about this person or didn't love him. He loved him so deeply. But he realized that this is life. He realized like, oh, this is it's out of my control. This is not my decision to make, whether this person live or not. All I can do is help and serve and dedicate and develop as a human being and as a soul. Everything else is up to God. So he loves to say, like to say, you do your best, let God do the rest. And I always saw that as a very inspirational story, because it shows me how you can give everything you have, everything, your entire dedication, your love, into one thing, and then it fails completely. And you're like, oh well. And that's the thing, he experienced everything we would experience. He experienced the sadness, he experienced the regret, the powerlessness, all of it. In that moment, all that influx, ebb and flow of emotions, salad that goes into you, but it didn't shook him to his core. It was like just whoop and out. So to me, that's that representation of a full experience of emotions without the ego. Like I can love, I can be sad, I can experience life to the fullest. But it doesn't have, I don't have to identify it. It's not I, Swami Shivananda, failed as a doctor and as a healer. Is I just experienced this thing.
Right.
And it's time to move on to my next spiritual practice.
I gave it my best and I dedicated myself fully, and it turned out differently than I expected.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly how we started this whole thing.
Right.
So to me, that's a great representation of handling failure and embodying the energy of like, this is an experience. So I'm going to handle it, and then I'm going to move on to the next experience. And the ability to transition from that experience to the next is the key to keep a balanced life. And of course, keep training on your your spiritual practices on the small things. So when the big things come, it'll be definitely less critical than if you didn't.
And I think practicing nonstop, which is what I've been doing, practicing nonstop as best to your ability, as much as you can remember, I should say.
Yeah.
Compassion for yourself.
That's a very strong one. Compassion for yourself.
As that when something, I think the first responders of failure should be compassion. The first responders. Like, there is time for reflection and analyzing and learning, but it will be much harder to do without the arms of compassion.
Right.
The hands are the analyzing, and the arms are the compassion.
Okay, I like that.
You
It's
can't
be a compassionate octopus.
Right.
And definitely breathe first. That will help. That will be my little last tidbit. If you want compassion to come through easily, give yourself one round of breath and then allow it to come through. Whatever you experience, because you have to kind of create space for the water of compassion to fill that space. Yeah, like that one. So thank you, everyone. Definitely subscribe, write mean comments about Michael not being here.
Everyone
Just write something like
Michael
bully
in the
Michael and his bald head for not being here and enjoying his anniversary with his wife in love. Boo, I say. And that's it. Thank you very much. And definitely do the things they say on YouTube. Subscribe, like,
comment, ring the bell.
Ring the bell. I know that's a thing. But mainly, I want to encourage you, make it a conversation because we want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear what you think.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Definitely, if you have a good comment, a good question, we're definitely going to engage with that.
If it's a good one.
If it's a good one.
So,
if it's a bad one also, I want to engage the bad questions too.
We're giving
about how
SAT
bad they are.
rankings.
Terrible. Thank you very much. I'm done.